West Nipissing and French River. Environment Canada meteorologists are tracking an area of severe thunderstorms that is possibly producing a tornado. Damaging winds, large hail and locally intense rainfall are also possible. Take cover immediately if threatening weather approaches. Please consult local media for more information.
First heat warnings of the summer season loom for a second day, and officials are calling on the public to stay alert when it comes to the signs of heat exhaustion. CTV's Luke Samard once again joins us live tonight with more on what to look for, not only for yourself, but also if you're checking in on a loved one. Luke.
Sarah, heat exhaustion can happen within minutes to the most vulnerable in our community. And tonight, officials are spreading the word on what everyone should know and what people should be looking out for.
It's very serious. It affects everybody, particularly the more vulnerable. We hear this all the time.
Extremely hot temperatures have made their way to the region, and if you find yourself suffering from heat exhaustion, paramedics are ready.
We're looking for the clear signs and symptoms of a heat stroke, right? The lack of dehydration, the high temperatures, your skin color, your level of consciousness, your level of confusion, whether you're conscious or not, because you could actually go unconscious if your body temperature does reach that extreme.
And if you come across someone suffering from these symptoms, there are ways you can help, including moving them to a cooler environment or shade.
Remove some of that unnecessary clothing that they might have. If they're able to swallow, because their level of consciousness as well, give them some water and start hydrating them. And then give the 911 dispatcher as much information as possible to where your location is, and we'll get there as soon as we can.
Heat exhaustion can quickly turn into heat stroke and be deadly.
Everybody's susceptible to this heat. It's not, there's no exception to it. Like I said, just the elderly and the kids are more susceptible to it, but they just get to that quicker.
The County of Simcoe has also opened cooling centers down for those experiencing homelessness, where they can cool off and still have access to support systems.
All of our emergency shelters are actually operating much more than just emergency accommodations. We are providing 3 meals a day. We also have drop-in community spaces layered throughout all of our emergency shelters. These spaces will offer services such as primary care, employment services, social assistance such as Ontario Work staff.
The City of Barrie has also opened cooling centers around the city due to the ongoing heat wave. Public facilities like rec centers, libraries will be open during operating hours to make sure that people can get the coolness that they need until the heat wave ends. Sarah?
Yeah, Luke, we'll have more on the locations of those cooling centers a little later, but we did mention there are heat warnings to share. So what regions are affected, and do we expect this to continue into Canada Day? Because a lot of people are going to be outside, Luke.
Sarah, these heat warnings, we could pretty much see them right through the week. We saw the humidex reach up to into the low 40s today. And yes, the heat warnings, they will be with us for Canada Day as well. We're taking a look at these weather alerts on your screen now. You can see a yellow warning really where it was yesterday, Orillia, Midland, and just east of Barrie, but that orange warning still in effect for most of Simcoe County, as well as Newmarket and Toronto. If you take your eyes to the top of your screen, you can see a little bit of red there. That is a tornado warning just west of North Bay. In the northern parts of the province, we are seeing fairly severe weather for most of the day, which has been included some thunderstorms into that region. So something to keep an eye on as we make our way into Canada Day. If you are heading out, make sure you do bring a water bottle. Let's go and take a look at our first look at weather now, brought to you by the graveldrivewayguide.com, your local gravel driveway expert. Taking a look at temperatures outside right now, it is 33 degrees. That does not include the humidex. It is very humid outside. So if you are heading out for a walk, just keep it quick, bring some water with you. Winds coming from the west right now at 15 kilometers an hour. Here is a look at your temperatures around the region with the humidex. You are seeing it into the low 40s really in most places. You can see Collingwood, it is a little bit more on the cooler side, 29 degrees there, feeling like 35 though. Parry Sound 25 as well. Barrie, Orillia, you're seeing highs of 33 and 27, feeling like 37 and 42, feeling like 43. Down closer to Toronto. So something to keep our eyes on as we make our way into tonight. A quick look at the radar and satellite. The unsettled weather does continue. We could see a risk of a thunderstorm as we make our way into the evening hours. And of course, more systems could develop as we make our way overnight, Sarah. So just something to look out for as we make our way into Tuesday night.
Okay, thanks for that, Luke. Now let's get back to the cooling centers that are now open across the region. First in Aurelia, the rec center and library are being used. Both have air conditioning and water. Then in Penetanguishene, the library and community center also designated now as cooling areas. Both municipalities are encouraging anyone that needs them to use them to get a break from that heat. And Metrolinx is warning of delays and cancellations on GO Transit because of the high temperatures. Metrolinx says trains are required to run at a slower speed during prolonged periods of heat, so some trips might be canceled or delayed by about 10 or 15 minutes. The agency recommends checking online for the latest updates on the service. Okay, time now to touch on the celebration side of things for Canada Day. The city of Barrie is planning to light up the Simcoe County sky.
We are closing down Heritage Park just so that we have a good safe spot to launch off the fireworks. The fireworks happen at 10 p.m. so that area will be closed all day while they set up all of those fireworks. It's going to be about a 10 or 15 minute fireworks show, so it's quite large.
So it's called Canada Day on the Move, and it includes traveling Canada Day activities popping up in Lampman Lane and Painswick Park. There's also a festival at Centennial Park with entertainment, inflatables, and a performance by the Ultimuts Animal Actors Show, Fire Show, plenty more. Now the events, keep in mind, are staggered between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m.
It's the one day where everybody gets to come out and just celebrate this beautiful country that we live in, and there's a lot of hometown pride as well that happens. Between the beautiful beach and then the food trucks that we've got and the different shows going on, it's going to be a place where a whole lot of families are going to come down and spend, I think, their entire day.
Now, there will also be open-air Dunlop from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. presented by the Downtown BIA. And again, fireworks are at 10 p.m., but if the weather does turn ugly, the show will be postponed to a future date. Other areas you can watch the firework displays: Couchiching Beach Park, Little Lake Park in Midland, Beach Area 2 in Wasaga Beach, Millennium Point in Collingwood, Friday Harbor Resort, and Canada's Wonderland. Now, more of what you need to know in terms of what's open and what's closed tomorrow. Most community centers, rec centers, and government offices will be closed. Select grocery stores will be open. Georgian Mall will be closed, but Tanger Outlets open. In Barrie, transit will run on a Sunday schedule with extended service to accommodate the fireworks show. Curbside collection will not be affected. Meanwhile, in Aurelia, transit will not operate and curbside collection will be delayed by 1 day. For the Simcoe County area, there will be no changes to curbside collection, but Lynx transit services will not operate. Now, for those heading to the northern part of our region, be advised that the fire danger rating will be increased, but not until later in the week. The Muskoka Association of Fire Chiefs is setting the rating to high for the entire district. That'll be on Thursday. Small open air fires will be permitted in Bracebridge between 6 p.m. and 8 a.m., but no daytime burning is allowed. Residents and cottagers are also reminded about exercising proper fire safety. Now, fireworks, they may bring joy to some, but for most of our pets, it can be overwhelming and even dangerous. Fireworks can be especially stressful for pets because they don't understand where the sudden loud noises are coming from and have more sensitive hearing than humans. That's according to the experts with Veg ER for Pets in Etobicoke. The unexpected booms can trigger a panic response like hiding, shaking, panting, pacing, and even running away.
It's hard to mitigate all the anxiety, but, minimizing the number of things that can really make a bad experience. So I'm hungry and I'm stressed. I'm anxious and I'm restless and I haven't had any exercise and I'm stressed is not going to help. So getting those things kind of squared away, making sure they have a quiet place in the house that they're comfortable with, maybe trying to blunt the noise from outside with some audible or background noise, making sure that we're as comfortable as possible and that we're as calm as possible, because dogs and cats are very sensitive to our anxiety.
So expanding on that, the team suggested bringing your animal out for exercise ahead of the expected noise and ensuring all pets have proper identification in case they do run away. Anyone planning on hitting the road on Canada Day may want to fill up their tanks today ahead of an expected price jump. Canadians for Affordable Energy President Dan McTagg is predicting the price of gas in both the GTA and most of southern and central Ontario will increase by about 5 cents a litre at midnight. That could bring the price to just under $1.65 a litre. Meanwhile, diesel is also expected to increase by 6 cents. That'll bring it to just under $1.86. A major South Barrie intersection will be closing later this week until the beginning of fall. So starting on Thursday, crews will begin major culvert installations and deep sewer work at the Huronia and Lockhart Road West intersection. The area will be closed for through traffic, but businesses will still be open and residents can drive through but follow the signage. Transit detours will be in effect as well. The city says the closure is expected to last until September 30th. One man is in hospital after a crash in Barrie this morning. Emergency crews were called around 4:40 a.m. to a single vehicle crash near Cundles Road East and Sunnydale Road. Police shut down the area for several hours as they investigated. The man was taken to hospital with serious injuries. The cause of the crash is under investigation, but the roads, they have since reopened. And OPP is asking drivers to avoid an area in Orangeville after a serious single car crash. That happened just before 5 o'clock this afternoon on Broadway between Diane Drive and Blind Line. It sent one man to hospital. Police are now investigating. A Norval Morrisseau art expert returned to the witness stand in the sentencing hearing of Jeff Cowan. CTV's Mike Arcelides reports on the questions the expert answered surrounding whether the estate has been involved.
Norval Morrisseau expert John Zamanovich testified the late artist's estate and children participated and profited from the fraudulent production of Morrisseau works for years. The children were an important, integral part of the fraud, Zamanovich told the court, as he described the actions of Morrisseau's estate when claiming dubious pieces were authentic, when in fact they were fakes. Zamanovich was called to testify by the defense in the sentencing hearing of Jeff Cowan, who was convicted by a jury last year of selling mimic Morrisseau works as part of a local art fraud ring in tandem with art authenticator David Paul Bremner and dealer Jim White, who had partnered with the Morrisseau estate to sell prints. Bremner and White struck deals with the Crown last summer for house arrest conditions in exchange for their testimony against Cowan, who defended himself without a lawyer. Cowan, now represented by Nathan Gorham and Brianna Van de Beek, arguing the Morrisseau estate, including CEO Corey Dingle, made claims it could influence the value of Morrisseau works as Morrisseau's family authenticated pieces, driving up their value. In a series of 2023 phone call recordings identified by Zamanovich as Dingle on one end, Dingle can be heard saying Morrisseau pieces should be worth 10 times what they are, referring to a vault of 800 unseen and beloved Morrisseau works, some unfinished, worth $40,000 to $50,000 apiece. He said the estate was the authority in authentication of Morrisseau art as it combated claims of forgeries in the market. In one recording with a prospective buyer, Dingle can be heard selling a piece for $75,000. Telling the buyer at that price he would be able to increase the value of the painting. Telling the buyer the estate vouching for the authenticity of a piece was just as good as a signature. Morrisseau was widely considered the Picasso of the North and died in 2007 when the market became flooded with thousands of forged pieces mimicking his works. The defense arguing Morrisseau's family was complicit in the fraud. Cowan's sentencing hearing, which got underway in February, is scheduled to continue in September. Mike Arcelides, CTV News, Barrie.
Georgian Bay General Hospital is currently experiencing, quote, extremely high patient volumes in its emergency department. The hospital issued an advisory this week encouraging patients to consider other options for care, like seeing a family physician or going to the North Simcoe Care Clinic. GBGH confirms that X-ray appointments are still at regular capacity. And the search for a full-time County of Simcoe head of council has officially begun. The province opened applications today, laying out the criteria for the position. It replaces the office of warden currently held by Romera Township Mayor Basil Clark. It will not be a member of county council, but the province will appoint an unelected candidate of its choice. The criteria is set up to select a previous office holder, a former senior public servant, or at least someone with strong government ties. Whomever is chosen will have authority similar to strong mayor's powers to, quote, ensure effective alignment with provincial priorities. Still to come, a patriotic tradition continues. Why 92 flags can be found flying on the front lawn of an Alliston woman. Plus, how local first responders have saved the equivalent of 100 lives in the last week and how you can help too. You're watching CTV News Barrie.
Presented by Paul Sadlin Motors. Music, it's a small community, so when something's really good, we all want to be part of it.
We have an amazing music scene here. Having people come together in community, listen to some amazing local artists, brings the downtown alive. It brings our city alive.
Troubadour Festival 2026 is going to be off the hook. We've got the Watchmen, Bahamas, going to be great.
Thanks for staying with us. An Alliston woman is celebrating 2 birthdays this Canada Day, her own and our country's, with a tradition that's getting bigger every year, literally.
It's a special time to have your birthday, July 1st. And I would say Canadians, when I was young, they really didn't celebrate much on Canada Day. And it wasn't until Expo that it started to come alive.
92 Canadian flags now fill Marilyn Holmstrom's front lawn, one for every birthday she's celebrated.
Happy birthday, Mom, on your 92nd birthday. She's a very proud and staunch Canadian, and everybody comes by and honks the horns and waves, so it's quite interesting how people in the Alliston area celebrate Canada Day as well.
Holmstrom has shared her special day with Canada since 1934 now, and her daughter, whom we just saw, continues the annual tradition of placing a flag on the family's lawn every year. The FIFA craze continues right around the world, and one of our local libraries is joining in on the fun.
We're particularly busy right now because it's our World Cup program, so we're just celebrating FIFA and all things World Cup.
From World Cup themed games to trivia and crafts, the Barrie Public Library downtown branch has transformed the Tinker Lab and welcomes all to come and support your favorite team through a slew of activities.
The World Cup's a sense of community. People come together, and where else to come together than the library itself? We are a community hub. We've got tons of resources for people. We now have soccer kits that you can rent out so you can celebrate the World Cup at home. We have books. Lots of books about the different countries as well as soccer itself.
Now, the World Cup celebration activities at the Barrie Public Library are free for everyone, but things won't be running tomorrow for Canada Day. But after that, what a fun way to embrace FIFA and beat the heat. Well, donations for blood often drop around the holidays, but first responders and a few others from across our region have been rolling up their sleeves to do their part. Joining us now in the CTV Barrie studio from Canadian Blood Services is Cheryl Russell. I always love when you join us.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Always. You know how big of a supporter I am. Before we get into the Sirens for Life Challenge, let's talk a little bit about why we see fewer blood donations during the holidays.
Well, we all want to be outside, right, Sarah? We want to be having fun and be in our backyards and be at the beach and the cottages, but unfortunately, donations drop and they sometimes slip during the summer because of that. But patient care and patient needs don't slip and they don't stop.
For people that maybe aren't as familiar with Canadian Blood Services, Cheryl, what's one of the most shocking statistics that you think people might not know?
Well, I find this one pretty shocking. 50% of all Canadians say that they feel that donating blood is a patriotic and really important thing to do for the community, but only 2% of all eligible Canadians donate. Whereas our blood donations and demand for blood donations are increasing by 10%, plasma by 50%. So we need everyone to come together and be part of Canadian inspiration and come together, especially at this time of year with Canada Day, right?
Well, and we just saw some video. I wanted to include it because Dana and I used to challenge each other.
Yes.
And it became this team bonding thing, and he was really nervous at first. What might you say to somebody who hasn't donated before?
Oh, it's just, it's just such a rewarding thing. I donate regularly. The day after, I feel incredible. The feeling I get when I leave, knowing that I've just helped someone that I may never meet, it's just an incredible feeling. And I really welcome everyone who's never donated before to come see me, ask questions, pop into the clinic and ask a question. You don't have to donate right away, but come ask those questions so that we can help you get to that point of being a donor.
Now, not only are donation numbers down in the summertime and around the holidays, there's also also something that is spiking, and that's the number of cancellations. Tell me why that has become such an issue.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, you wake up in the morning, you have your donation appointment in the afternoon, but you get this last-minute barbecue plan, right? What are you going to do? Oh, I don't want to miss the barbecue. So you might not think to cancel that appointment. You might not show up for your appointment. And what we're asking is, if you make an appointment, attend it, show up for the appointment. If at the worst case scenario you can't, release it back to the public by canceling the appointment. Because if you don't, it's gone forever. That time slot and that donation to save that person's life is gone forever.
And good to know too, if you have a last minute thought, perhaps I'd like to support, maybe you're at home right now and you'd like, you know, after Canada Day and beyond to support, you can always, you know, look and see if something popped up.
Yes.
But when let's get into the Science for Life Challenge.
Oh,
because
yes.
You're sharing with me just how well this team has done. So
yes.
How many people in the last week were saved, Cheryl?
So we opened the challenge up on June 15th, and by June 22nd alone, in that 1 week, 38 donations. And if no one knows this, one donation can save up to 3 people's lives. So we're talking about upwards of 100 people's lives saved. Like just in 1 week. Can you imagine what it's going to be like September 15th when we wrap up this challenge?
Yes, well, and I'd love to see, we were looking at Barrie Mayor Alex Nuttall because you opened it up. It's not just first responders. Why did you want to include the city of Barrie?
Well, he did an incredible ask 2 summers ago. He opened it up as a summer ask by the city of Barrie employees. And I just said, you know what, let's just do it all together. Let's all come together as a community and let's all donate together.
Okay. And it's not just Barrie Fire and Police. Who are the other first responders?
Oh, we've got a lot. We've got OPPA, Ontario Provincial Police Association. We have Innisfil Fire. We have South Simcoe Police Services. We have County of Simcoe Paramedic Services, Barrie Fire, Barrie Police. It's amazing.
And folks at home, it's not just first responders that are giving back and saving lives. You can too. So yes, I would personally say I find it so rewarding, and I would encourage everybody to at least give it a try. Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Let's go ahead and bring up the website because we have plenty of information about blood donation. There it is, ctvnews.ca/Barrie. You can also revisit this interview. Still to come here on CTV Barrie, why wooded areas, tall grass and shrubs have become a particularly concerning landscape in our province. Yes, coming up, we're talking ticks. But first, let's head outside. Luke's in Bob's garden.
Well, Sarah, it's been a hot week, and it's going to continue to be a hot week. When will we see some relief? You'll have to stay tuned to find out. But first, let's go and take a look at our campfire forecast. Yes, in the Simcoe County region, we are at moderate, and the ranking in Muskoka is moderate, but that's going to raise up to high on Thursday. Campfire conditions brought to you by Presler Injury Lawyers. Call 1-800-JUSTICE. Let's go and take a look at our weather watcher, Brian. Brian's ready for that heat, he's ready for that sun, and he's enjoying it on the lake as well. Brian, thank you so much for your picture. Stay with us. You're watching CTV News Barrie.
Hi, we're Martin and Steph
from Bounce 104.1.
And this week on the show, we're giving away tickets to see Blue Rodeo on August 29th.
So make sure you're listening Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 10 for your chance to win.
Picture this. Brought to you by Bounce 104.1 and Pure Country 106.
It doesn't get much more patriotic than that. We are celebrating Canada Day, folks, and it doesn't end because tomorrow is Canada Day, so keep them coming. Picture this at ctv.ca for your chance to be featured. Luke, did you see the picture with the pup with the hat on the head?
It's crazy how creative people get when it comes to Canada Day, is it not?
Would yours let you go for that?
You know, we could. Sarah, I bet you my dog would gladly wear a hat as long as there's like 10 trees involved.
Oh yes, food motivated. I know a lot about that. So what's going on for you tomorrow? I'm playing golf, and you were kind enough to remind me that it will be literally 40 degrees at 9 o'clock when I tee off tomorrow.
Yeah, Sarah, if you're hitting the links tomorrow, good luck. You're gonna want to tee off early. You're gonna want to maybe have the fastest golf game of your entire life tomorrow. That is because, yes, these heat warnings will continue, and we are going to be seeing those increased sun, a mix of sun and cloud tomorrow as well. Now we are going to start off with our alerts map, and of course there are your warnings. So we're still seeing that heat warning right through the region. Some orange in Barrie, Newmarket, Toronto, as well as up into the Owen Sound, Collingwood region. It turns to a yellow warning once you get to that Orillia, Midland, Georgian Bay, Gravenhurst. If you're heading up to the Cottage for Canada Day, you'll see a little bit more better conditions as well. And of course, you do have that tornado warning on the top of your screen west of North Bay. So something to watch out for. We are still seeing some fairly extreme weather to our friends into our northern viewing area. You could have seen some rain today as well for the Huntsville and Haliburton region too. So something to think about as we make our way into our Tuesday night here and into Canada Day. Let's go and take a look at our temperatures around the region right now. You're seeing 31 in Barrie as well as Alliston, 28 in Orillia, 29 in Collingwood. We've got the Humidex on your screen as well. We are still seeing it feel like into the low 40s in Barrie, Alliston, Newmarket, as well as Toronto and Gravenhurst. A little bit cooler in that Collingwood, Orillia region with the water. Let's go and take a look at the almanac. We only did reach a high of about 32.6 degrees today, just a few degrees off of the record set all the way back in 1913. Now, you probably got woken up this morning by a nice thunderstorm making its way through the region. That is because of our overnight lows really not getting that low. We're still seeing that humidity right through the night. We did see a low of around 19.1 degrees today. That was earlier this morning. Sunrise tomorrow, 5:38. Sunset, 9:06. Taking a look at our radar, there is that extreme weather making its way right through the region. Now, overnight, we do have that risk of a thunderstorm once again. And then waking up tomorrow morning, a nice mix of sun and cloud. But you might get woken up, like we said. So Canada Day, you're going to see that risk of a thunderstorm remain right through the morning and into the afternoon. Taking a look at your forecast tonight, we do have a low of around 23 degrees right through Simcoe County. Further north, Midland, 22, as well as Pentanguishene, 23 in Collingwood, 22 in Owen Sound. That risk of a thunderstorm still relevant. Tomorrow, that risk will continue, as well as these warm temperatures. So Sarah, you said you're hitting the links, 34 degrees. Is your high. With the humidity, you could count on another 10 degrees into that 44, 43 degree mark. Yes, it is going to be quite warm. Taking a look in York region overnight, you are going to see lows of 23, 24 degrees. That risk of a thunderstorm does continue for most areas. Orangeville, you could see partly cloudy conditions and a low of 23. But tomorrow, once again, that risk of a thunderstorm will remain as we wake up for Canada Day, and we are going to be seeing highs of 35 degrees, 36 in Richmond Hill. That does not include the Humidex, folks. So very, very warm temperatures tomorrow. If you are heading outside to enjoy festivities, make sure you're prepared. Sunscreen, nice big shade hat, water bottles, you name it, you're going to need it. 33 degrees in Orangeville is your high for tomorrow. If you're heading up to the Cottage tonight and into tomorrow for Canada Day, overnight, you could run into those storms you saw on your satellite and radar. 21 degrees is your low right through Huntsville, Bracebridge, as well as Gravenhurst and Haliburton. 20 degrees in Parry Sound with that risk of a thunderstorm. About a 30 to 40% chance you could see some rain in there as well. Tomorrow, you could see a high of 32 degrees right through the Bracebridge and Gravenhurst region, as well as Haliburton. 31 in Parry Sound in Huntsville. That risk of a thunderstorm will continue for most of the day due to that humidity. Let's go and take a look at our 5-day forecast now, brought to you by Diamond and Diamond Lawyers. Well, we talked about relief. We're really not going to see relief until the end of the weekend. You're going to continue to see these warm temperatures right into Saturday when we get our first temperature below 30. But I want to pay attention to the overnight lows. That's where we're going to start to see that relief, and it's really not going to happen until Saturday night when it gets to a low of 17. We're going to be creeping back down to those normal temperatures around this time of year, which is about 13 degrees for our overnight lows. So Sunday, a high of 28, but you are going to be seeing that chance of rain really right through the week. Meanwhile, in York region, we are seeing highs of 35 degrees tomorrow, 34, 33. And then finally on Sunday, we do get that break of 29 degrees. Overnight lows will start to get a little bit better as we make our way towards the weekend with a low of around 18. Parry Sound, Muskoka, and Haliburton, we are seeing a high of 32 tomorrow. We do dip below 30 on Saturday, kind of like Simcoe County, a mix of sun and cloud. The rain will stop as well. And that's because your overnight lows are back to 15, 14 degrees on your Sunday as well. So looking forward to that cool down as we make our way into the weekend. It's time now for your marine report, brought to you by Suzuki Marine in Northern Lake Huron. You are seeing winds from the southwest, about 15 knots, so quite windy out there. Your waves are about half a meter to a meter with that squall watch due to those thunderstorms making their way through the region. Southern Lake Huron, a little bit nicer. No warnings. We are seeing waves about ½ meter to a meter, winds south 15 knots. Georgian Bay and Lake Simcoe, we are seeing more calm conditions in terms of winds, south-southeast 3 knots, as well as 6 knots on Lake Simcoe, with waves about ½ meter to under ½ meter. So Sarah, it is quite warm out. If you are heading out, you're going to want to make sure you are prepared for a very warm day tomorrow.
Yes. Golf game has been canceled. Not safe. And let's talk a little bit more about that. Our region is one of many in eastern Canada dealing with the first major heat wave of the summer. Sweltering conditions, hovering in the mid-30s, feeling more like 40 degrees, as Luke just said, with the humidity. That's expected to last several days in both Ontario and Quebec. We'll go to CTV's John Venavalley-Rao, who has more on the conditions, health risks, and how to stay cool.
In downtown Toronto, the oven is now on full blast.
It's pretty hot, pretty hot.
This fan is like slightly cooling me, but not really.
Some people doing what they can to protect themselves from heat that officials say can be dangerous.
Everybody's susceptible to this heat. It's not, there's no exception to it.
In much of southern Ontario, Environment Canada issuing an orange warning, saying highs, not including humidity, will be between 34 and 37 Celsius over the next few days.
When the duration exceeds 3 days, we can consider, if the impact is sufficient, we go to an orange warning. And so this is what we're expecting for this week.
Civic Center hours in Toronto are being extended to provide a cool place to shelter, and some pools are being kept open later, with little relief at night. Overnight lows forecast to get down to just 24 or 25 Celsius. That's 8 degrees above normal.
It's going to be warmer tomorrow. I'm on a motorcycle tomorrow, so I'm riding east where it's cooler. Hopefully it's going to cool down.
There are also heat warnings in southern Quebec, along with concerns about the most vulnerable.
We're talking about the elderly, people with chronic diseases, people who are taking certain types of medication, especially for mental health conditions. We know that those people are going to be at risk after a couple of days of this kind of heat.
The advice Environment Canada believes is worth repeating. Drink water often, schedule outdoor activities during the coolest parts of the day, and never leave people, especially children or pets, inside a parked vehicle. For those planning to take part in Canada Day events outdoors, it may be challenging. Meanwhile, forecasters say while it will be close, Canada Day heat records are not likely to fall in most places tomorrow, with the exception of Windsor, which may break the record for the day. John Venavalley-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
And with summer in full swing, health experts are urging people to protect themselves from ticks.
It's just something to be aware of, right? Listen, when you're out in wooded areas or areas with tall grass, this is sort of tick transmitted, or areas where ticks like to live. You know, it's a good idea to put on some insect repellent. Obviously, if it's not too hot, we can wear long pants and a long sleeve shirt. But, you know, if it's 30 degrees outside, that's not really practical. And then, of course, do a tick check when you come in. And sometimes it's helpful to have someone look at the back of the legs or areas where we might not be able to see, and then remove the ticks right away. If anyone has any symptoms whatsoever, of course, go talk to a healthcare provider and say you had a tick bite and you're worried about a tick transmitted illness.
There are more than 40 different types of ticks in Canada. Experts say climate change is what is causing the continued expansion in the country. Canada's Public Health Agency says more than 7,000 cases of Lyme disease were logged last year. That's the highest number on record. Still to come, new auto insurance laws will take effect here in Ontario tomorrow. So does that mean lower rates for the average motorists? We'll bring you that and tonight's top stories. Stay with us. That's next. Time now to recap our top stories on this Tuesday. It was another day of extreme heat in Simcoe County, posing a deadly risk to everyone, especially the elderly and children. First responders are warning about signs of heat stroke, and cooling centers are open across the region. Cities and towns across Simcoe County are gearing up for Canada Day. The city of Barrie will feature festivities that will move from park to park. Aurelia is prepping for its annual parade, and fireworks will be on display at waterfronts across much of the region. A Norval Morrisseau art expert returned to the witness stand and the sentencing hearing of Jeff Cowan today, answering questions about whether the Morrisseau estate may have been involved in a fraud when thousands of mimicked works flooded the market. With new school attendance rules set to take effect later this year, Ontario's education minister is urging parents not to pull their kids from class to attend sports tournaments. Starting in September, attendance and participation will count for between 10 and 15% of a student's grade. If they have more than 2 unexcused absences, they will not be able to get full marks. The absences are usually for illnesses or religious occasions, but some students are excused on Fridays if they have a weekend sports tournament. Now, the education minister did add that although he is discouraging the practice and school should be their priority, he is prepared to make accommodations for certain high-level athletes. Well, here in Ontario, we have some of the most expensive insurance premiums in Canada, and starting tomorrow, changes are coming that could lead to lower rates. Drivers will now have more options when choosing insurance coverage, but it means they could also face more risks. CTV's Pat Foran explains.
There are more than 11 million drivers in Ontario, and the average insurance premium is about $2,200 per year. The new changes give consumers more choice about the kind of policy they have.
In terms of having options and in terms of understanding your policy better from a consumer perspective, this is a great thing.
Under the changes, medical, rehabilitation, and attendant care benefits will remain mandatory. However, 9 coverages that used to be mandatory will now be optional, including income replacement benefits, caregiver benefits, death and funeral benefits, and 6 others. While drivers will have more flexibility when it comes to choosing what's in their policy, if they get in an accident, they could also have less protection.
Once you decline a coverage, you create potentially an exposure. So every time you say no to a specific coverage to save a little bit, you may end up paying in the long run vis-a-vis a claim.
Ensure that you're not just looking at a simple few dollars of savings.
Personal injury lawyer Nainish Kotek says dropping coverages that are no longer mandatory could only reduce premiums slightly and may not be worth it.
On the average, it's around $60 to $100 a year. So you're really not saving much by having only the basic coverage. And unfortunately, once you're in an accident, if you don't have that coverage, it's too late.
The changes will also have a major impact on who is insured under the driver's policy. Pedestrians and cyclists who might have been eligible for accident benefits before may no longer be covered.
You as a pedestrian don't get that. That's only available to the driver.
You should also be more careful about lending your car to a friend or family member. Benefits will only apply to those who are listed on the policy as drivers of the vehicle. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Turning to business news now, WhatsApp has announced plans to address a privacy blind spot. The app says users will soon have the option to go by their username rather than the phone number. WhatsApp says the change means someone would need to know your username in order to contact you for the first time. There has been no timeline for when the change will be made, with WhatsApp's parent company Meta only saying it will happen in the, quote, coming months. However, a key deadline is coming up tomorrow for the CUSMA trade agreement between Canada, the U.S. and Mexico. The agreement says each country has until July 1st to indicate support to renew the pact, while Canada and Mexico say both want a 16-year extension. President Trump has suggested he'd rather terminate the deal. However, outright termination isn't an option under the agreement, but if the July 1st deadline comes and goes without U.S. support for renewal, CUSMA will continue with an annual review for up to 10 years. If a country wants to officially pull out, it must give 6 months notice. Moving right into our markets, the TSX was up 33 points, the Dow was up 136, and the Nasdaq was up 393. And commodities, oil was down, closing at $69.50 a barrel. Gold was down, finishing at $4,038 an ounce, and our dollar was down, ending the day at 70.37 cents U.S. Well, some rather exciting developing news coming from the world of basketball. ESPN says the Raptors are nearing a deal to bring Kawhi Leonard back to Toronto. According to reports, the Raps are sending Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, 2 first-round draft picks, 1 pick swap, and 2 second-round picks to the Clippers to reunite with Leonard, who led the Raptors to the franchise's only NBA championship back in 2019. We're going to see the shot there, the famous shot. There it is. Leonard, who just turned 35 yesterday, is coming off a season where he averaged a career high of nearly 28 points per game, earning him second-team All-NBA honors. The Blue Jays will be looking for a second straight win when they continue their series against Bo Bichette and the New York Mets tonight.
This is hooked to left field, and it's going to get down for a base hit and past Soto to the wall. Springer around second, and now the ball is dropped, and Springer is coming around to score.
George Springer scored in the first inning last night thanks to some fielding mistakes by the Mets outfield. The Jays would end up winning the game 2-1. Kevin Gausman is set to start for Toronto tonight. First pitch is set for just after 7 at the Rogers Centre. Canada now knows who it will be facing in the World Cup's round of 16. The squad will be going head-to-head with Morocco after the African nation beat the Netherlands last night.
Saibari, up against Verbruggen. It's Saibari!
That one was tough to watch. Morocco beat the Netherlands on penalties after tying the game in stoppage time to force extra time. Canada and Morocco will now square off at Houston on July 4th. The teams played each other at the last World Cup in Qatar in 2022, with Morocco beating Canada 2-1. However, Netherlands, they're a tough team. Still to come. Now, Canada versus Morocco. They prepare to hit the pitch, as we just heard, but how is the local community getting ready to root for their home team? We'll show you on the other side of the break. Here's a look at your Tuesday night primetime lineup. Past Malice and Emma Fielding Mystery starts at 8, followed by Criminal Minds at 10 p.m. and CTV News Barrie at 11. Welcome back. Toronto was hosting its final game of the FIFA World Cup, a hotly anticipated knockout match between Portugal and Croatia. Meanwhile, Team Canada getting ready to make history again with its next match against Morocco. CTV's Adrian Gabriel breaks it all down.
History etched once again.
A shootout stunner now has Morocco on a World Cup collision course with Canada.
Football is everything in Morocco.
From Montreal to Toronto, all the way to Vancouver, by the thousands, Moroccans in Canada have been celebrating the old country. For Moroccan Canadian Amin Asnoussi, his family's allegiances heading into this Saturday's match are divided.
Oh, that's gonna be a tough one. I mean, we love both teams. We love both countries. I've asked the question at home, and my daughters were like, oh, we might be cheering for Canada.
Meanwhile, Toronto Stadium is preparing to host two frenetic football fan bases for an epic round of 32 clash between Croatia and Portugal.
Both communities, both countries, and to see an epic match between Ronaldo and Modric, knowing that it is likely the final match in a national team jersey for one of them.
And tickets to get into Toronto Stadium this Thursday have spiked ever since the game between the two soccer titans was confirmed. According to Ticket Data, a website that tracks prices, the cheapest seat is roughly $2,600 Canadian. Portuguese community bars and cafes across the country are also expected to cash in while ensuring fans stay hydrated.
You expect that to be like just a dream, but now as reality is coming over here to Toronto to play a major tournament like a World Cup.
The dream of Canada playing its knockout games on Canadian soil have come and gone. Now that Canada has flown south for the remainder of the World Cup, so have resale ticket prices at Vancouver's BC Place. The cheapest seat to Switzerland's game against Algeria is roughly $580, a 30% drop over the last 3 days. One thing that will likely remain unchanged during this World Cup are scenes like this on Canadian streets. A Moroccan musician singing and dancing, accompanied by a group of Mexican fans, as cowboy hat wearing, maple leaf flag waving Canadians join in on the celebration of life and sport.
And that really is the beauty of this tournament. Allegiances may be divided, but unity is also afoot as the dreams of many nations captivate fans here in Canada and across the world. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Well, it's time now for a look at our Get Up and Go forecast. If you are heading out to some Canada Day festivities tomorrow, 24 degrees at 7 a.m. in Barrie and Newmarket with a mix of sun and cloud. And in Gravenhurst, you can see a little bit less sun to start your day, 22 degrees and cloudy. Sarah?
Thanks, Luke, for hanging in there in the heat. I'm Sarah Freemark. Thanks for being here with us. Jack will wrap things up tonight. Take care.